Hey everyone, welcome to my presentation on the top natural anti-anxiety supplements. So pretty much everyone has felt uneasy at some point in their life. We call this state of inner turmoil anxiety, and it's a normal emotion that tends to kick up when we dread future events, causing us to worry, be restless, and have difficulty concentrating. It's almost like fear, except that instead of being scared and reacting to current events, you worry about future events. You're scared of what you think will happen. And that's a key part of anxiety, is that it's subjective. What one person is anxious about may not be what you're anxious about. And again, experiencing anxiety is normal. Where it becomes a problem is when the anxiety persists for months on end, at which point it becomes an anxiety disorder. These can be general anxiety, a specific phobia, social anxiety, or panic disorders. You may even have more than one. About 1 in 20 adults in the world suffers from some type of anxiety disorder, with the rate increasing to roughly 1 in 16 in adults in the US. And current treatments revolve around forms of psychotherapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy and a variety of drugs like benzodiazepines. But given the adverse effects associated with pharmacological interventions, a growing body of research has looked into botanicals and other naturally occurring compounds as a means to help alleviate anxiety. And in this presentation, we're going to discuss some of the supplements that could help put your worrying mind to rest. So botanicals are plants that are valued for their medicinal properties, flavors, or scents. Common herbs and spices are probably the best known examples, and they can be consumed as teas, tinctures, extracts, or in their natural state. There are at least 53 plants that have been shown to have efficacy for reducing anxiety, 32 of which have solely preclinical evidence in animal models, and 21 of which have clinical trial data from interventions with humans. While we won't cover all of these, we are going to talk about some of the most promising anti-anxiety botanicals. And first up is passion flower, which has been used for thousands of years by Native Americans as a sedative and a treatment for anxiety. The leaves and roots of the flower were traditionally brewed into a tea, while dried powders and extracts are commonly used today. While the precise mechanism of action for passion flower's anxiolytic effects hasn't been established, the current belief is that its phytochemical constituents bind to and activate GABA receptors, similar to benzodiazepines. For example, in adults with generalized anxiety disorder, 45 drops of a passion flower tincture was just as effective as a benzodiazepine for reducing anxiety, with both cutting anxiety scores by half after just 2 weeks and nearly 75% after 1 month. Similarly, in adults going through opiate withdrawal, detoxifying with clonidine, which helps minimize the withdrawal symptoms, plus 60 drops of a passion flower tincture was more effective at reducing mental symptoms than using the drug alone. Several other studies have reported that 360 to 700 milligrams of passion flower helps blunt the normal spike in preoperative anxiety when taken 30 to 90 minutes before general surgery, spinal surgery, and dental surgery. The study on the far right even suggested that the anti-anxiety effect was comparable to a benzodiazepine. So overall, passion flower has drug-like anxiolytic effects in both those who have anxiety disorders and in regular adults that are undergoing stressful events like surgery. Its effects not only appear to work with continuous supplementation, but also in the hour or two following a single dose. Next up is chamomile. Chamomile is a daisy-like flower traditionally brewed into a tea and used to treat a variety of ailments, particularly those characterized by inflammation and oxidative stress. It's also been used as a mild sedative to calm nerves and reduce anxiety. Subsequent research has since validated these traditional uses. Studies in rats have shown that chamomile's bioactive constituents interact with GABA and benzodiazepine receptors within the brain, thereby having a sedating effect similar to passion flower. A group of researchers from the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine have published several studies in adults with generalized anxiety disorder, demonstrating the clinical efficacy of chamomile. It started with a small placebo-controlled pilot study in which 1,100 milligrams per day was shown to cut anxiety in half after 8 weeks. In a larger follow-up study, the researchers confirmed their previous findings. After 8 weeks of supplementing with 1,500 milligrams of chamomile, the participants had their anxiety cut in half and improved several other aspects of mental well-being. Basically, the average participant went from having moderate to severe anxiety down to barely mild anxiety. To really hammer this point home, here's another way to look at these findings. When the study started, about 84% of participants had moderate anxiety and 15% had marked anxiety. After just 2 months of using chamomile, almost none had marked anxiety, only 18% had moderate anxiety, 21% dropped down to mild anxiety, and 60% had either no anxiety or just borderline anxiety. So in their third and final study, the researchers took a group of these participants who had their anxiety reduced by at least 50% and had them continue taking the chamomile or start on a placebo for another 6 months. Those who continued with chamomile were 48% less likely to relapse with anxiety symptoms compared to those using the placebo. Moreover, the average time to relapse was 3 months in those using chamomile compared to just 6 weeks in the placebo group. In short, regular consumption of chamomile can help alleviate anxiety in many individuals who have an anxiety disorder. So lemon balm is a plant native to the Mediterranean basin in Central Asia, where it was traditionally used for the treatment of mental disorders and any complaints relating to the central nervous system. Today, it is commonly used to promote sedation, but researchers haven't quite pinned down the mechanism through which it acts. The most promising explanation is that lemon balm inhibits GABA transaminase, which is the enzyme that degrades GABA and thereby increases GABA signaling within the brain. Several studies in otherwise healthy adults have found that taking 300 to 1600 milligrams of lemon balm prevents declines in calmness in the hours following supplementation, particularly when they're subjected to stressful situations. Other studies have found that 3000 milligrams per day of lemon balm for 8 weeks reduces anxiety and stress in adults with heart problems, and that 1200 milligrams per day for 3 months reduces anxiety in adolescent girls dealing with PMS. And in adults with mild to moderate anxiety, supplementing with 600 milligrams of lemon balm for just 2 weeks improved numerous anxiety manifestations, such as tension and agitation, and anxiety-associated symptoms, such as psychosomatic problems, intellectual disturbances, and feelings of guilt or inferiority. So overall, lemon balm can help with maintaining a cool head when it's taken before stressful situations and can help lower overall feelings of stress and anxiety when taken regularly, both in healthy adults and in those with anxiety disorders. Ginkgo biloba is a tree native to China that's been around since at least the Triassic period, roughly 270 million years ago. The ginkgo nuts were both eaten as a food and used in traditional medicine for the treatment of circulatory problems and cognitive decline. Most of the research on ginkgo revolves around alleviating cognitive decline and staving off dementia. However, several of these studies have reported that ginkgo doesn't just improve cognitive function, but also reduces psychological symptoms like anxiety. And the reductions in anxiety may be due to how ginkgo interacts with our stress centers in the brain and the adrenal glands. That is, ginkgo appears to inhibit the secretion of corticotropin-releasing hormone, or CRH, the overactivation of which causes anxiety-like behavior in rodents and is associated with anxiety in humans. Now, only one study to date has looked at how ginkgo supplementation affects adults with actual moderate to severe anxiety. And over the course of a month, the participants supplemented with either ginkgo biloba at 240 or 480 milligrams per day or a placebo. And anxiety dropped like a rock with both doses, although the higher one tended to fare a little better. Overall, 81% of those using 480 milligrams of ginkgo and 67% of those using 240 milligrams either very much or much improved their anxiety when evaluated by a clinician, compared to just 38% of those using the placebo. So ginkgo biloba appears to reduce anxiety in those with dementia and anxiety disorders when it's taken regularly for several months. By the way, everyone, if you're enjoying this content and you want to have all this information at your fingertips, then head over to theenergyblueprint.com/anti-anxiety-ebook and grab our free ebook talking about all these supplements. All right, next up is ashwagandha, which is a nightshade revered in Ayurvedic medicine for its physical and mental enhancing effects. Today, it's considered an adaptogen for similar reasons. It's able to increase one's resilience to stress and help reduce anxiety. And these effects are largely due to its constituent withanolide structures, which have several important neuroprotective effects within the brain, such as scavenging free radicals, reducing neuroinflammation, and promoting neurotransmitter signaling. When it comes to anxiety, these molecules also bind to and activate GABA receptors. And these effects appear to be pretty potent, particularly in anyone who's dealing with high amounts of stress or anxiety. For example, in adults with chronic mental stress, supplementing with 600 milligrams per day of ashwagandha reduced perceived stress by 40% and feelings of anxiety by 70% compared to a placebo after just 2 months. Several other studies of stressed adults with mild anxiety have found similar anxiolytic benefits after just 2 to 3 months of supplementation. A 60% reduction in anxiety with 240 milligrams of a concentrated ashwagandha extract, 15% reduction with 600 milligrams of a regular ashwagandha powder, and a 20% reduction with a 600 milligrams of a concentrated extract. In adults with generalized anxiety disorder, taking 1,000 milligrams per day of ashwagandha powder cut anxiety by 50% after 6 weeks, bringing the average anxiety level down from severe to mild. In fact, the number of participants with severe anxiety dropped from 67% to 5%, and the number with mild anxiety increased from 10% to 72%. Ashwagandha is an effective anxiolytic supplement for anyone that is dealing with an anxiety disorder or chronic stress. Now let's talk about Rhodiola rosea. Rhodiola is a medicinal herb traditionally used for enhancing mental performance and resilience to stress. Effects that are due to the numerous ways rhodiola interacts with genes, signaling pathways, and molecular networks within neuronal cells to alter emotional behavior. Specifically, rhodiola acts within the brain as a neuroprotective, cognitive enhancing, and mood stabilizing agent through reducing neuronal cell death and promoting regeneration, functioning as an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, facilitating neurotransmission, and regulating several key mediators of the stress response within the hypothalamic pituitary axis. And these effects lend rhodiola some of the most potent adaptogenic and anxiolytic abilities in the botanical supplement garden. For example, in adults with chronic work and life-related stress, 400 milligrams per day of rhodiola reduced feelings of exhaustion, irritability, and anxiety in as little as 3 days, ultimately cutting them in half after just 1 month. Even in less stressed individuals, rhodiola may have some benefit. In mildly anxious university students, for example, 400 milligrams per day of rhodiola reduced anxiety by about 10% after just 2 weeks, as well as self-reported stress, anger, confusion, and depression. Lastly, in adults with generalized anxiety disorder, taking 340 milligrams per day of rhodiola reduced anxiety by 40% after 10 weeks. In fact, 40% of the participants were able to put their anxiety disorder into remission. So Rhodiola rosea is a potent adaptogen that improves stress resilience and reduces anxiety, particularly in those with stressful lives or anxiety disorders. Okay, so L-theanine is not a botanical, but it does come from one. It's a naturally occurring amino acid found in tea that alters neurotransmitter signaling within the brain. After consumption, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, interferes with excitatory glutamate signaling, stimulates dopamine release, and promotes inhibitory neurotransmission, thereby helping promote a state of relaxation. In fact, EEG studies have shown that theanine shifts brainwaves towards alpha oscillatory patterns, indicative of a relaxed state, particularly in those with high levels of baseline anxiety. And accordingly, several studies have found that theanine supplementation improves feelings of relaxation, tension, calmness, and anxiety in the hours following doses of 200 to 600 milligrams. So in short, L-theanine is an amino acid found in tea that improves feelings of relaxation, tension, calmness, and anxiety. And that's it, everyone. The top natural anti-anxiety supplements. If you want to learn more about them, along with the role of psychedelics in mental health, then head over to theenergyblueprint.com/anti-anxiety-ebook and grab our free ebook. Lastly, I do want to briefly mention that if you're interested in these anti-anxiety compounds, some of them are contained within UltraBrain, along with numerous other brain-boosting ingredients to take your mood and cognition to the next level. You can grab some at theenergyblueprint.com/UltraBrain. Seriously, just look at what people are saying. Jason, I've tried numerous nootropics, and Ultra Brain is the best by far. Marine noticed effects in just 4 days with just a partial dose. Tim is loving the product and says it's much better than Qualia. Beth really loves Ultra Brain and is reducing her anxiety and depression after just 1 week. Getty feels and even looks more clear and less tired. So again, if you want to get your bottle, just head to theenergyblueprint.com/ultrabrain.